We are not born with the need to rely on others for our sense of self. This is something we have learned often in moments of weakness or fear. Dependency is a cage, a subtle prison, built from the beliefs that our worth is tied to external forces. The approval of others, the presence of affection, the comfort of certainty. But we are not mere shadows of others' perceptions, and our emotions are not slaves to the world outside. The true strength lies within, an unshakable, unyielding fortress that cannot be broken by the whims of others. To break the chains of dependency is to reclaim the sovereign power over our own hearts and minds. Let us embark on this journey, not to shun others, but to find the strength to stand alone, self-sufficient and free. Lesson 1. The illusion of need. Breaking free from external validation, we often deceive ourselves into believing that we need validation from others to feel complete, to feel worthy. It is an illusion, a lie that we have bought into, not through malice, but through the softness of our human nature. The world, in its unrelenting motion, bombards us with expectations. What we should look like, how we should speak, who we should be. These expectations are not inherently bad. They are simply reflections of the collective desires of those around us. Yet somewhere along the way, we confuse these external judgments with truth. We begin to measure our worth through the eyes of others, and in doing so we give away our power. Imagine a tree that seeks approval from the clouds to grow. Would it ever truly find the strength to reach the heavens? No, because its growth comes from within. The roots in the earth, the sun above, and the quiet, steadfast force that keeps it alive. Similarly, your worth, your strength, your sense of self must come from within you, not from the applause or the criticism of the outside world. This external validation is an unstable foundation. It is ever-changing, fleeting and unreliable. One day the world may praise you, the next it may turn its back. If your sense of self is built on the shifting sands of others' opinions, you will constantly feel the tremor of insecurity. You will forever be chasing something that will always remain just out of reach. The path to freedom lies in understanding that you, and only you, determine your value. The external world can offer praise, but it cannot give you worth. That is your gift to yourself. When we rely on others' perceptions to shape our identity, we tether ourselves to forces that are beyond our control. You cannot always control how others see you. What you can control is how you see yourself, how you stand, how you act, and how you treat your own heart. To begin the journey of emotional independence, we must first dismantle this illusion. We must free ourselves from the chains of seeking approval and, instead, root our sense of worth in something unshakable: our inner character, our choices, our actions. The opinions of others may come and go, but the truth of who you are remains steadfast, anchored in the depths of your being. This is not a denial of relationships or connection, but a recognition that true connection comes from standing firmly in your own truth. Only when you are whole within yourself can you truly meet others as equals, not as someone seeking something they cannot give. By releasing the need for validation, you open yourself to the possibility of genuine, untainted relationships that are based not on need, but on mutual respect and shared values. Do not let the world define you, for the world does not know the depth of your soul. Only you can see that, and in that vision you will find the strength to stand tall, independent, and free. Lesson 2. The power within. Discovering emotional autonomy. There is a deep, unspoken truth that lies hidden within the fabric of our being. The true source of our strength is not external, but internal. We have been conditioned to believe that we must seek out comfort, guidance, and reassurance from the world around us. our friends, our family, even strangers, we are told that to feel secure, to feel complete, we must seek the approval and presence of others. But this is not the path to true empowerment. To discover emotional autonomy is to uncover the immense power you possess within your own heart. It is to recognize that the strength to endure, to thrive, and to find peace in the midst of chaos is already inside of you. Like a quiet, constant flame burning in the darkness, this power does not need the world's attention or validation to exist. It thrives because it is rooted in something unshakable: your values, your principles, and your understanding of who you truly are. The journey toward emotional autonomy begins with the realization that you are not a passive recipient of life's events. You are not merely reacting to what happens to you. You are the one who chooses how to respond, how to interpret, and how to find meaning in it all. This is the gift of emotional independence, the ability to create your own emotional landscape, regardless of the external circumstances. When you begin to grasp that your emotions do not come from others or from the outside world, but from your own interpretations and choices, you take the first step toward autonomy. The world may be a tempest of challenges, opinions, and events beyond your control, but within you there lies an unyielding peace, a fortress that no storm can breach. This power is not something you must search for in distant lands or far-off dreams. It is a part of you, waiting to be discovered in the quiet moments of reflection. It is found in the decision to not let the actions of others disturb your inner calm. It is found in the refusal to allow anyone or anything to dictate your emotional state. You may not be able to control the world, but you can control how you respond to it. You may not be able to control the words of others, but you can choose to let them pass by like wind through the trees. This power within you is limitless. It does not require validation, and it does not need anything to prove itself. It is enough. In discovering emotional autonomy, we learn that we do not need anyone else to complete us or make us feel whole. We are complete as we are. Our worth is not found in the approval of others, but in the steadfast recognition of our own strength, our own resilience, and our own ability to face whatever comes with grace and dignity. The power within you does not waver, it does not fear, and it does not falter. It simply is. It is time to stop looking outside of yourself for what you already possess. It is time to stop seeking approval or affirmation from the world and turn inward to the wellspring of strength that lies within. You are the source of your own power, and once you realize this, no external force will ever have the power to diminish your peace or alter your course. You are the master of your emotions, the keeper of your inner harmony, and the creator of your own reality. And this power, this unshakable truth, will guide you toward a life of freedom and emotional independence. Lesson 3. Why we rely. Unveiling the roots of emotional dependency. To break free from emotional dependency, we must first understand why we rely on others in the first place. Dependency is not a random affliction. It is the result of deep-seated beliefs, patterns, and fears that have been ingrained in us over time. These roots are buried in the soil of our past, our childhood experiences, our relationships, the moments when we felt vulnerable or incomplete. We have learned, often unknowingly, that our emotional survival depends on others, on their approval, their presence, and their validation. But in this we have mistaken comfort for strength and dependency for connection. At the core of emotional dependency lies a simple yet profound truth: the fear of being alone. This fear, more than anything else, drives us to seek constant reassurance from the world outside. We cling to relationships not because they are nourishing, but because they provide a temporary sense of security. We seek approval not because we value it, but because it shields us from the perceived pain of rejection. In these moments, we are not choosing connection. We are choosing the comfort of not facing ourselves, our own fears, our own insecurities, our own worth. But here is the paradox. True strength is born when we are no longer afraid to face ourselves. The moment we stop seeking validation from others, we begin the process of reclaiming our power. We must ask ourselves, why do we feel incomplete without the approval of others? Why do we believe that our worth is tied to the opinions or actions of people who, in truth, have no say in the essence of who we are? This dependency is not natural, it is learned. As children, we rely on others for care, affection, and survival, but as we grow, we must learn to stand on our own. We must understand that the foundation of our emotional well-being must be built upon the unshakable belief that we are enough, independent of anyone else's views or behaviors. No one can define us unless we allow them to. And in allowing others to hold the power to shape our emotions, we surrender our own agency. The root of dependency often lies in unresolved pain. The pain of past rejections, disappointments, or unmet needs. These wounds, if not addressed, continue to influence our present behavior, leading us to seek the comfort of approval as a balm for the hurt we haven't healed. But healing comes not through external sources. It comes through internal reflection, self-compassion, and the courageous decision to face the wounds with honesty and grace. The more we avoid the discomfort of confronting our own vulnerabilities, the more we remain chained to the need for others to fill the void. Once we understand the origins of our dependency, we can begin to unearth the false beliefs that have led us to seek emotional nourishment from outside ourselves. We are not incomplete. We are not broken. We are whole, and we always have been. The belief that we need others to complete us is a falsehood we have learned to believe, and now is the time to unlearn it. The people around us, while valuable, are not the source of our happiness. They are the companions we choose on this journey, not the crutch we lean on to hold ourselves up. Lesson 4. Shifting the focus, turning inward for true strength. In the world we live in, it is all too easy to become consumed by the noise of external demands and expectations. We are constantly urged to look outward for validation, guidance, and reassurance. The pressure to conform, to meet others' desires, and to seek approval is relentless. But the truth is, the only place we will ever find true strength, true clarity, and true peace is within ourselves. To shift the focus inward is to make the conscious decision to no longer be swayed by the currents of external opinion. It is to trust that the answers we seek, the strength we long for, and the stability we crave are already within us, waiting to be discovered. But this requires discipline, for the world will continuously try to pull us away from our inner truth. The demands of society, the expectations of those around us, the fear of judgment. These are the forces that distract us from the most important thing, our own heart. When we look inward, we stop allowing the world to dictate how we should feel, how we should act, and how we should value ourselves. We begin to understand that our emotional state is not a reflection of the external world, but a product of our own perceptions, choices, and mindset. The world may throw challenges our way, but it is our response to those challenges that defines us, not the events themselves. The power to shape our emotions, our reactions, and our sense of self lies in how we choose to respond. This inward shift begins with self-awareness. It starts with the recognition that we are responsible for the way we feel and think. No one can make us feel inferior, no one can cause us to doubt our worth unless we allow it. When we stop looking outside ourselves for the answers, we start to uncover a profound truth. We are the architects of our own emotional landscape. This shift is not an easy one. It requires the courage to face our own inner fears, doubts, and insecurities. It requires us to challenge the beliefs we've held for so long, that we need others to complete us, to validate us, to make us feel safe. But in confronting these fears, we find our true power. We find the strength to stand tall, rooted in our own truth, unaffected by the passing winds of external approval or rejection. The journey inward is also a journey of self-compassion. It is about learning to love ourselves without conditions, to accept our flaws without judgment, and to embrace our vulnerabilities without shame. When we make the decision to turn inward, we choose to honor ourselves as we are, without seeking anyone's permission or approval. We recognize that our worth is inherent, not based on what others think of us, but on the fact that we are alive, we are here, and we are capable of experiencing life fully. The beauty of shifting the focus inward is that it liberates us from the need to control or change the world around us. We can stop trying to manipulate situations or people to meet our needs, and instead focus on cultivating inner peace. We no longer need others to change their behavior or to treat us a certain way to feel good about ourselves. We understand that our happiness, our contentment, and our sense of worth are not dependent on the actions of others. They are within our own control. When we trust in ourselves, when we turn inward for strength, we become unshakable. We stop looking for external sources to fill us up because we realize we are already full. We stop relying on others to define our worth because we already know who we are. This shift is not about rejecting the world or isolating ourselves from others. It is about recognizing that the foundation of our happiness, our peace, and our emotional independence must come from within, not from outside forces. Only when we make this inward turn do we truly begin to live with authenticity, power, and freedom. Lesson 5. The courage to stand alone. Embracing solitude as empowerment. There is a profound power in standing alone, a strength that is often misunderstood and undervalued. Society paints solitude as something to be avoided, a state of loneliness that we should fear and fill at all costs. Yet, in truth, it is in moments of solitude that we come face to face with our deepest selves. It is in these quiet spaces that we discover our true resilience, our innate wisdom, and our unshakable foundation. To embrace solitude is not to reject the company of others, but to honor the sanctity of our own presence. It is the courage to stand firm in who we are, regardless of whether the world around us is applauding or ignoring. In solitude, we are free from the influence of external expectations, from the pressure to conform, and from the need for validation. We are simply ourselves, whole, complete, and capable. The fear of standing alone often arises from our conditioned belief that we must always be in the presence of others to be validated. We believe that our worth is only confirmed when it is witnessed by others. But when we learn to stand alone, we uncover a truth that is both liberating and empowering. We do not need anyone else to define us or give us permission to be ourselves. Our worth is inherent, not contingent on the company we keep or the approval we receive. Standing alone is not an act of isolation. It is an act of freedom. It is the act of reclaiming ownership of our lives, our choices, and our emotions. When we are not reliant on others to make us feel whole, we are free to live authentically, to follow our own path, and to make decisions that align with our deepest values. In solitude, we are not beholden to anyone else's desires, opinions, or expectations. We are free to create a life that is true to who we are, not a life shaped by external forces. It takes courage to embrace solitude, to choose to be alone rather than to seek constant companionship or external approval. But this courage is what allows us to truly know ourselves. In the quiet moments, we can listen to the whispers of our inner wisdom. In solitude, we can reflect on our goals, our values, and our purpose, without the distraction of others' influence. It is in these moments that we come to understand what we truly want, what we truly need, and who we truly are. Solitude also fosters emotional independence. When we are alone, we are forced to confront our emotions without the crutch of distraction. We cannot escape our fears, our anxieties, or our insecurities when we are alone. But in this confrontation, we find strength. We learn to navigate our emotions, to sit with discomfort, and to find peace in the midst of uncertainty. The more we embrace solitude, the less we need external validation to feel secure in our own skin. In standing alone, we also learn to become our own greatest companion. We develop a deep sense of self-respect and self-love, recognizing that we are worthy of our own attention, care, and compassion. We no longer rely on others to provide us with the emotional support or affirmation we once sought. We become the source of our own emotional nourishment, standing strong in the knowledge that we are enough, regardless of who is with us or what the world says. The courage to stand alone is the courage to live on your own terms. It is the freedom to make choices that reflect your true self, to walk your own path, and to create a life that is authentic and fulfilling. When we embrace solitude, we stop living in reaction to others and begin living in alignment with our own values, desires, and dreams. This does not mean rejecting relationships or avoiding connection. Rather, it means that we no longer seek to fill the emptiness within ourselves through others. We no longer depend on anyone else to make us feel complete. Solitude teaches us that we are already whole, and that the strength to live a meaningful, empowered life is found not in the company of others, but in the quiet, unshakable foundation within ourselves. So, embrace the courage to stand alone. Embrace the freedom that comes with solitude, for it is in this space that you will find the truest expression of your own power. Lesson 6. Detaching from the external, reclaiming inner peace. In our lives, we often place our emotional well-being in the hands of external circumstances, relationships, achievements, the praise or criticism of others. We look outside ourselves for validation, for security, and for a sense of peace. But this is a fragile way to live. The external world is unpredictable, volatile, and beyond our control. It is a constant ebb and flow of uncertainty, and to tether our happiness to such forces is to live a life of vulnerability and dependence. To reclaim true emotional independence, we must learn to detach from the external. Detachment is not about rejecting the world or distancing ourselves from those we love. It is about recognizing that our peace does not depend on what happens outside of us. True peace comes from within, and it is rooted in our ability to remain grounded, regardless of the storms that rage around us. When we detach, we free ourselves from the need to control the uncontrollable. We no longer seek to shape the world around us to fit our desires or to ensure that others behave in ways that align with our needs. Instead, we turn inward, focusing on our own responses, our own thoughts, and our own emotions. In this way, we take back control, not of the world, but of ourselves. Detachment allows us to experience life fully without becoming ensnared by it. It allows us to participate in the world, to engage with others, and to pursue our goals, but without losing our sense of self in the process. We can care deeply for those we love, but we do not rely on them to provide us with a sense of purpose or fulfillment. We can strive for success, but we do not let failure define us. We can experience joy, but we do not let it control us. Detachment is the ability to enjoy life without becoming entangled in it, to live fully without losing ourselves. This practice of detachment requires a deep understanding of impermanence. The people in our lives, the situations we encounter, and the circumstances we face are all transient. They come and go. To tie our emotional well-being to things that are fleeting is to set ourselves up for inevitable disappointment. When we accept that everything is temporary, that nothing, whether good or bad, lasts forever, we free ourselves from the need to hold on tightly to anything. We can let go of our attachments to outcomes, to people, and to possessions, and in doing so we open ourselves to a more peaceful, more fulfilling existence. Detachment also means freeing ourselves from the burden of others' opinions. We no longer need to seek validation from others, nor do we need to defend ourselves against their judgment. What others think of us is none of our concern. It is not a reflection of who we are, but rather a reflection of who they are. When we detach from the opinions of others, we stop living in reaction to the external world. We begin to live in alignment with our own truth, with our own values, and with our own sense of purpose. This does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means becoming resilient. It means learning to weather the highs and lows of life without allowing them to dictate our inner peace. It is the ability to stand firm, like a tree in a storm, knowing that no matter how fierce the winds blow, our roots remain secure. True detachment is not the absence of love, ambition, or desire. It is the ability to experience these things without being consumed by them. It is the understanding that our happiness, our peace, and our emotional stability are not dependent on anyone or anything outside of us. When we detach from the external, we reconnect with our true selves, the unshakable core of who we are, and we realize that we have always had the power to create our own peace. In detaching, we reclaim our sovereignty. We stop being swept away by the forces of the world and begin to steer our own course. We are no longer at the mercy of others' actions or the outcomes of our endeavors. Instead, we become the masters of our emotional state, the creators of our own peace, and the keepers of our inner harmony. Detachment is the key to emotional independence. It is the practice of letting go of what we cannot control and turning inward to find the peace that already resides within us. It is the freedom to live fully without being enslaved by the need for approval, success, or material gain. And in this freedom we find a depth of joy, contentment, and strength that cannot be shaken by the shifting tides of the external world. Lesson 7. The art of acceptance, embracing life as it is. One of the most powerful tools for achieving emotional independence is the art of acceptance. Acceptance is not resignation or passive surrender. It is the active choice to see life as it is, without resistance or judgment. It is the ability to embrace the present moment, no matter how imperfect, painful, or uncomfortable it may seem. By accepting life as it is, we free ourselves from the need to control or change everything around us in order to find peace. So often we find ourselves struggling against reality. We want things to be different, whether it is our circumstances, the actions of others, or our own feelings. We resist what is, wishing that life would conform to our desires, our plans, or our expectations. But in doing so, we are rejecting the present moment, and by extension rejecting our own peace. The first step toward emotional independence is the realization that we cannot control everything, nor should we try. Life is unpredictable, and there are countless things that lie beyond our influence. We cannot control how others behave, we cannot control the external world, and we certainly cannot control the passage of time. But we do have control over how we respond to life's challenges, how we react to the circumstances we find ourselves in, and how we choose to view the situations that unfold before us. Acceptance means letting go of the need for everything to be perfect, for everything to go according to our plans. It is the recognition that life, in all its complexity, is already whole. The moments of joy, sorrow, success and failure are all part of the same fabric. When we resist one part of life, we inadvertently reject the other. We cannot have growth without discomfort, progress without struggle, or peace without accepting the full range of human experience. This does not mean we should accept suffering or injustice as inevitable, but rather that we should accept the reality of the situation. We acknowledge what is, without wishing it were different, and from there, we choose how to respond. Acceptance is not about being passive, it is about acknowledging the truth of what is before us and then taking empowered action based on that truth. To accept life as it is, we must first accept ourselves as we are. We are not perfect, we are human, with all the flaws and contradictions that come with it. And in that acceptance we find freedom. We no longer have to pretend to be someone we are not, nor do we need to meet external expectations in order to feel worthy. We are already enough. And when we accept ourselves fully, imperfections and all, we unlock the door to true emotional independence. Acceptance also means releasing the need for approval from others. We stop living our lives in reaction to what others think or expect. We cease to measure our worth by their standards. Instead, we choose to live according to our own values, according to our own vision of who we want to be. We recognize that we cannot please everyone, nor should we try. We can only honor our truth, live authentically, and embrace our unique journey. In accepting life, we also learn to embrace change. Change is the constant that we cannot escape, and to fight against it is to fight against the very flow of life. When we accept change, whether it's the loss of a relationship, the end of a chapter, or the shifting of our circumstances, we allow ourselves to grow. We no longer fear the unknown, but instead embrace it as an opportunity for growth, for learning, and for transformation. The art of acceptance brings with it peace because it removes the struggle. It frees us from the emotional turmoil of wishing things were different, of battling with reality. When we accept life as it is, we stop fighting against the current and begin to flow with it. This does not mean passively allowing things to happen to us. It means accepting what is and then choosing how we respond with wisdom, grace, and strength. Through acceptance, we create space for gratitude. When we accept life's challenges, we can see them for what they truly are: opportunities for growth, learning, and resilience. We stop viewing difficulties as obstacles to happiness and begin seeing them as the teachers they are. In this way, every experience becomes a gift, a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more aligned with our true selves. To master acceptance is to master peace. When we stop resisting what is, when we stop wishing life were different, we unlock the door to true freedom. We realize that our emotional well-being does not depend on the world around us. It depends on our ability to accept and respond to life with courage, wisdom, and love. And in this acceptance, we find the unshakable inner peace that is the foundation of emotional independence. Lesson 8. The power of self-discipline. Mastering the inner world. The key to emotional independence lies not in external circumstances, but in our ability to master our inner world. To cultivate self-discipline is to take full responsibility for the way we think, feel, and act, regardless of what is happening around us. It is the unwavering commitment to our own personal growth, to our values, and to the standards we set for ourselves. The world may be chaotic, unpredictable, and beyond our control, but through self-discipline, we remain anchored in our purpose, clear in our intentions, and steadfast in our actions. Self-discipline is the foundation of emotional freedom. It is the ability to regulate our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, even when we are faced with temptation, discomfort, or external pressure. It is the strength to choose what serves our highest good, rather than being swept away by fleeting desires or external distractions. In a world that constantly demands our attention and urges us to follow the path of least resistance, self-discipline allows us to chart our own course with purpose and clarity. The journey of self-discipline begins with self-awareness. Before we can master our inner world, we must first understand it. We must examine our thoughts, our reactions, and our habits with honesty and without judgment. What are the patterns that hold us back? What are the behaviors that prevent us from living in alignment with our values? By taking the time to understand ourselves, we can begin to identify the areas of our lives where discipline is lacking and where change is needed. Once we have this awareness, we must take deliberate action to shape our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways that align with our values and aspirations. This is where true discipline comes into play. It is not about trying to control every single thought or emotion, but rather about choosing how we respond to them. When we feel fear, anger, or frustration, we can choose to let these emotions control us, or we can choose to rise above them, to remain grounded and composed. Self-discipline is the ability to choose the higher road, even when the lower road seems easier or more appealing. This commitment to self-discipline requires consistency. It is not a one-time decision or a fleeting moment of willpower. It is a daily practice, a constant reinforcement of our intentions. Just as a muscle grows stronger with repeated exercise, our self-discipline strengthens with consistent practice. Every time we make a conscious choice to act in alignment with our values, every time we choose restraint over indulgence, we are building our inner strength and fortifying our emotional independence. Self-discipline also requires patience. We will not master our inner world overnight. There will be setbacks, moments of weakness, and periods of doubt. But the key is to not give up. Progress may be slow, but every step forward is a victory. In those moments when we falter, we must show ourselves compassion, remembering that discipline is not about perfection, it is about progress. Each day offers a new opportunity to strengthen our resolve, to reaffirm our commitment to growth, and to continue moving forward. Through self-discipline, we develop the ability to focus on what truly matters. We stop being distracted by the trivial, the fleeting, and the irrelevant. We learn to prioritize our time, energy, and attention on what will bring us closer to our goals, our values, and our true purpose. We stop reacting to the world and begin responding from a place of clarity and intention. The power of self-discipline also lies in its ability to protect our emotional well-being. When we are disciplined in our thoughts and actions, we become less vulnerable to external influences. We stop relying on others for validation, for approval, or for emotional support. We learn to trust ourselves, to find our own strength, and to remain centered in the face of adversity. The more disciplined we become, the less affected we are by the opinions, judgments, and actions of others. We become impervious to the emotional turbulence of the world, remaining steady and resolute in our own sense of self. Self-discipline is not a rigid, punitive force. It is a liberating power. It is the ability to choose freedom over bondage, purpose over distraction, and peace over chaos. It is the conscious decision to live life on our own terms, to not be enslaved by our impulses, fears, or external circumstances. Through self-discipline, we reclaim our power, our peace, and our emotional independence. In the pursuit of emotional independence, self-discipline is the greatest ally we have. It empowers us to live authentically, to act with integrity, and to build the life we desire. It is the key to overcoming the distractions and temptations that pull us away from our true path, and it is the foundation upon which we can build lasting peace and fulfillment. When we master our inner world, we free ourselves from the chaos of the outer world, and in that freedom, we discover our true strength. Lesson 9. The strength of letting go. Attachment is a source of emotional independence. We must come to terms with a powerful and often difficult truth. Attachment is a source of suffering. We attach ourselves to people, possessions, and outcomes, believing that these external elements are the key to our happiness, security, and sense of self. We think that if we just hold on tightly enough, if we just secure the things we desire, we will finally feel complete. Yet, in reality, attachment only chains us to the very things that keep us from finding true peace and freedom. To release attachment is not to abandon love, care, or ambition. It is to relinquish the need for control, for ownership, and for dependency. It is the understanding that nothing in this world is permanent, and that our peace does not depend on the transient nature of external things. True peace comes from within, and only when we release our attachments can we truly experience that inner freedom. Attachments create dependency. When we attach our happiness to something or someone, we give away our power. We allow ourselves to be at the mercy of circumstances beyond our control. If we are attached to the outcome of an event, to the approval of others, or to the possessions we accumulate, we are constantly placing our well-being in the hands of external forces. And when those things change, as they inevitably will, our sense of security, happiness, and peace is shattered. The first step toward releasing attachment is to recognize that attachment is rooted in fear. Fear of loss, fear of not being enough, fear of being alone. We cling to people and things because we fear that without them we will be incomplete or unworthy. But the truth is that we are already whole. We do not need anything outside of ourselves to validate our worth. We are complete as we are, and when we embrace this truth, we free ourselves from the fear that drives attachment. To let go of attachment is to acknowledge the impermanence of all things. People, possessions, circumstances. None of these are guaranteed to remain in our lives. Change is inevitable. When we cling to something, we are fighting against the natural flow of life, trying to freeze time, to hold on to something that is always shifting. By accepting impermanence, we can release our grip on these attachments and find peace in the understanding that everything is temporary and that our happiness does not depend on holding on to anything. Releasing attachment also means releasing the need for external validation. When we are attached to how others perceive us, we lose touch with our true selves. We begin to live in response to the expectations and judgments of others instead of living authentically. When we let go of the need for approval, we stop relying on the opinions of others to define our worth. We recognize that our value is not contingent on external recognition or praise, but on our own sense of self and our commitment to living in alignment with our value. In releasing attachment, we also free ourselves from the need to control. We cannot control the actions of others, the outcomes of events, or the course of life. The more we try to control, the more we entangle ourselves in the web of uncertainty. Letting go of attachment is about surrendering the need to control everything and accepting that some things are beyond our influence. We learn to respond to life as it comes, rather than trying to force it to be what we want it to be. This does not mean we stop caring about people, things, or outcomes. Rather, it means we stop depending on them for our emotional well-being. We can love without clinging. We can pursue goals without becoming obsessed with results. We can enjoy the present moment without holding on to it. When we let go of attachment, we stop tying our happiness to any one thing or person, and instead we cultivate a sense of peace that is independent of the fluctuations of the world around us. Letting go also means forgiving. We often become attached to past hurts, grudges, and resentments, holding on to them as a way of protecting ourselves, but in doing so, we only continue to suffer. To release attachment is to release the past, to forgive ourselves and others for the mistakes and wrongs that have been done. We stop allowing the past to dictate our present and our future. In forgiveness, we find liberation. Letting go is not a one-time decision. It is an ongoing practice. Each day presents new opportunities to release the attachments that weigh us down. Each time we feel the pull to control, to cling, or to seek validation, we can pause and remember that true freedom lies in releasing our grip. The more we practice letting go, the more we strengthen our emotional independence, and the more we discover the peace that comes from within. The strength of letting go lies in its ability to unburden us. It frees us from the heavy weight of attachment, from the fear of loss, and from the need to control. In releasing attachment, we become lighter, more flexible, and more open to life as it unfolds. We stop living in reaction to what we have or what we fear losing, and instead, we learn to live fully present in each moment and free from the constraints of attachment. So, let go. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the need for validation. Let go of the fear of loss. Embrace the freedom that comes from releasing attachment, and in doing so, you will discover a peace that is unshakable, unbreakable, and entirely your own.